Taoiseach Micheál Martin wants a Citizens Assembly on Irish neutrality, despite previously saying that Citizens Assemblies are often just mouthpieces for the loudest lobby group. This is Scallan and you're watching Gript Media. Before we start the video, if you want to support Gript and our work, make sure to click like, subscribe and comment even if you have absolutely nothing to say. Just comment your favorite song or something, because by liking and commenting the channel gets boosted in the algorithm and is seen by more people. So if you want to see this channel grow, just take 2 seconds right now to like, comment and do your part to support independent journalism. And with that said, on to the video. Speaking ahead of an EU and NATO dinner in Madrid last week, Taoiseach Micheál Martin expressed his desire to see a Citizens Assembly on ending Ireland's military neutrality. Because if there's one thing this country doesn't have enough of course, it's Citizens Assemblies. It seems like we have a Citizens Assembly for everything imaginable at this point, from which chipper does the best spice bag to what the best Sabaton album was. Fairly soon, you won't be able to decide what you're having for dinner without an assembly first. It's like the magic conch or something. But I suppose you can never have too many, especially when the public are footing the bill for all of it. Now, before even addressing Martin's comments, of course, there's probably a question to be asked about how appropriate it is in the first place for the Taoiseach to attend a NATO dinner as the head of a neutral country. If you didn't know better, you might start to believe that Martin already had his mind made up about this issue, and he isn't actually too concerned about appearing neutral even before the public have had their say. But regardless, he went on to tell the media about his desire to end our hallowed tradition of military neutrality, as reported by RTE. On the question of changing neutrality generally, he said that that was something people would ultimately have to have a say in. He said a Citizens Assembly could allow for an informed discussion on the issue. Now, at this point we have to ask, who exactly is calling for this other than Neil Richmond TD? Because as Ipsos polling has shown, the overwhelming majority of Irish people support the current model of neutrality, even in the face of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So the general public is absolutely not calling for this. There's no indication that the Irish people have any appetite for an end to neutrality. And Citizens Assemblies, in addition to taking a long time, cost anywhere from hundreds of thousands to millions of euros in taxpayer money, all of which will effectively be farted away on this useless question for which we already have a decisive answer. The only people who are still confused about this issue, it seems, are politicians. The public know where they stand quite clearly. Of course, I would be remiss if I didn't point out the Taoiseach's previous comments on the Citizens Assembly back in 2016, when he claimed that generally speaking they don't reflect the views of the majority.
How can the process be run in such ways to ensure that it's not just the loudest voices that get a hearing? I attended a hearing on the Constitution Convention. I'm not so sure what transpired on the day I was there reflected where the vast majority of the Irish people were.
In fact, he said it shouldn't even be called a Citizens Assembly because those who participate in it aren't elected by the people.
I don't accept the idea that a Citizens Assembly, and it's a wrong term, Citizens Assembly. There's only one Citizens Assembly, and that's the one elected by democratic franchise, direct election by the people.
He said that often the Assembly just ends up being a mouthpiece for, quote, the loudest lobby group of the day.
What tends to happen is when structures like this are established, Taoiseach, those who are selected are well-meaning, I've no difficulty with that, but very often they become subject to the loudest lobby group, the loudest advocacy group of the day. And the vast majority of people living in the country are going about their daily lives and are very largely removed from the deliberations of it.
So, bearing in mind what you just heard, note that just this year alone, the Taoiseach has launched Citizens Assemblies on biodiversity loss, a directly elected mayor for Dublin, and now he's planning one on Irish neutrality, not to mention the ones he had last year. So apparently, Martin believes that the Citizens Assembly is generally extremely astroturfed. He thinks it's subject to hijacking by fringe lobbying groups who don't represent the majority, and at the same time, he wants loads of them on all sorts of pet issues that the public has a little appetite for. Very funny how that works, isn't it? His position apparently is Citizens Assemblies don't represent the people's views, and also we should have one every 5 minutes. Behold the mind of a career bureaucrat at work. Martin also attempted to claim that the HSE cyber attack highlighted why Irish neutrality was a big problem and needs to go. Once again, as reported by RTE, we know from the attack on the HSE last year that we can't be neutral on that either, and we have to work with like-minded states, he said. Now, it's quite telling that not only would the Taoiseach make an argument this patently absurd and fallacious, but that apparently nobody in the press pool would dare to call him out on it. Which, by the way, as an aside, is a reason why you should donate to Gript. The bigger we are, the harder it is for them to deny us access to press conferences, so we can start asking these questions in person. We've already confronted Justice Minister Helen McEntee about illegal immigration, which I suspect the government didn't like at all.
Minister, first of all, congratulations on your baby. Your department is planning to give amnesty to tens of thousands of illegal immigrants later in this year. And it seems fair to expect that giving amnesty to those who have broken Irish immigration law could very easily incentivise other people to break those laws as well. So I think a lot of people would like to know what mechanism, if any, is your department planning to prevent this kind of crime from happening in the future?
I can only assume they almost had a heart attack from being asked an actual hard question for once, because we found it very difficult to be invited back since. So if you want to see more of that, please consider signing up for a $5 or a $10 a month, whatever you can afford, to help us scale up this operation. But regardless, onto the TShock's argument. So Micheál Martin says that because of the HSE cyber attack, we need to do away with our neutrality. But nobody thought to ask him in what possible world could the HSE cyber attack relate to military neutrality. First of all, to the best of our knowledge, that attack was carried out by criminal gangs from Eastern Europe. Nobody has claimed that it was carried out by a foreign state. So what exactly does a load of criminal dirtbags robbing our country have to do with neutrality? No neutral country tolerates criminals. It's not like you can run down the road in a neutral country robbing banks and decking old people in the face with impunity. Obviously, criminals who are victimizing your country, whether they be domestic or foreign born, need to be held accountable. This is an absolute non sequitur and totally unrelated to the question at hand. Furthermore, let's say the HSE cyber attack was carried out by an enemy state. Again, what would that have to do with neutrality? Do neutral countries not defend themselves when they get attacked? If tomorrow Switzerland was invaded, would they just sit there and take it? Sorry lads, we're neutral, so we can't do anything about tanks rolling into our living rooms and killing our entire family. You know the rules. Well, that's obviously not what would happen. Neutral countries defend themselves vigorously when attacked or when their territory is invaded. So even in this hypothetical situation, if Russia or China hacked us or something, Ireland would be well within our rights to defend ourselves while remaining totally and utterly neutral. The two things could not have less to do with each other. So it's a ridiculous argument that doesn't even stand up to the mildest scrutiny. Either the Taoiseach of our country hasn't thought it through at all for even a single second, or he's hoping that the people listening won't and will just accept it at face value. Either way, it's a very poor indictment of our media and political classes that he seems to have actually gotten away with it. It appears to just be thrown out there with the aim of defending this hobby horse agenda of flushing our neutrality down the toilet by any means necessary. For a country that claims to value democracy above all else, does it ever start to feel like the voice of the demos isn't actually that relevant to our leaders at all? Please like and share this video, and if you enjoyed it, please consider signing up for a monthly donation via the link on screen to help us produce more content like this. Alternative media like Gript needs all the assistance it can get, and every donation goes a long way. As always, thanks for watching.